What's going on, YouTube? Today we are gonna do a couple podcast episodes. I got my dog Matt with me.
What's going on?
Not too much, man. Not too much. We're gonna talk about the 2026 F1 cars, and we're gonna talk about this ground effect era while we still got it. So stay tuned because it's gonna be some good conversations. I think both of us have our opinions about the new regs. And we'll test drive those cars later, but we have our opinions about the new regs and the general direction of F1. So stay tuned. All
All
right.
right.
Before we go out on track, the 2026 cars supposed to be more hybrid, less aero, and similar, basically the same engines. But they are going to be different enough because there's so much hybrid stuff that they have to integrate. Um, which new manufacturer do you think is going to do the best, and who are you thinking is going to be the best, like overall?
I think overall, you gotta look at Red Bull and Mercedes. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Off top, they're investing a lot of money in the programs. And then after that, I would say you'd have to look at Ferrari
Mhm.
and Ferrari and Audi,
Mhm.
um, and McLaren, of course. McLaren's going to be a dark horse because of their partnership with Mercedes.
Mercedes, yeah,
And then obviously you have Aston Martin and Honda working together. That's going to be a big deal. So it's really going to be interesting to see
yeah,
because you really almost don't know who's going to have the actual edge,
yeah. I,
even unless this so-called Mercedes dominance is going to be the thing.
I've been hearing a lot about Mercedes is keeping kind of quiet, and they're not really complaining about the regulations. So that tells me that uh, they're in a really good spot. They're in a really good spot for the rule set. God damn it, David.
Oh shit! Good thing it's all visual damage.
Jesus.
Hey, that man took us all out almost.
Everybody trying
That's
to talk
wild.
trying to talk and drive, man, I tell you.
Well, who knows what he was thinking?
No, it was me. Anyways, that's the hard part about racing and talking. But anyways, I'm hearing good things about Audi or about the Mercedes powertrain. But what's funny about it though, a lot of people are hyped up on Audi. I'm excited for them to be in the sport, but the problem with that is I don't think they've built anything like they have hybrid experience, but I don't know if it applies in the same way as the as people are expecting.
I agree.
It's a different type of hybrid powertrain. So the new engines, they are still going to be 1.6 single turbo, but they're working on doing a 50-50 split between hybrid and engines for a combined 1,000 horsepower. How do you feel about that? Like they want the cars to be smaller and lighter, and the new cars are,
Oh, fucking computer just spun me out.
and the new cars are, they are a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter. But they're trying to push this hybrid stuff, and it'll be good, but it could be better if they let the engine do more. So like what do you, if you were in charge of the engines, what decision would you make? What do you think F1 could do differently to make the engines more effective?
Just rely more on actual internal combustion engines.
Hmm.
I think the problem we're having with modern F1 is they're so worried about being at the forefront of protecting the environment. I don't think they really realize that people aren't interested in that. People don't want to hear the raw exhaust note of a V8, V10, V12. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Racing engine in a top open wheel motorsport in the world. And everybody was very disappointed, when we heard that we weren't getting internal combustion engines, non turbocharged, like I think remember they were talking about V8s possibly, and then they were like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
And like we all were collectively like sad
yeah,
because we all yearn to hear that sound, and I get it. It's not the most environmentally, sound, so to speak, but then you have Sebastian Vettel and his, you know,
uh-oh,
super fuels
yeah,
that is supposed to be really good for the environment, almost zero emissions and stuff.
hmm,
And it's like, why can't we just have our cake and eat it too?
yeah. Um,
Why we gotta do all that?
yeah. So it was one of the days we weren't necessarily talking about an episode, talking about F1, but we were just kind of talking in general. And one of the things you pointed out was like the current engines could be cool, but they're like a little too efficient. There's like no overrun, there's no flames coming out the back, there's no blow off. And it's because like they're efficient and like to a certain extent, I hear all this hybrid stuff and I think, like it almost sounds more like a LMP1 style of engine because I mean to a certain extent F1 should be ridiculous. Um, I think within the rule set for me, if it was my choice, I think it would be cool. Like even within like if you're like okay, it has to be a V6 or whatever. Like first off, I think the 1.6 keeping the engine the same displacement wise between the two rules it's kind of whack. So they're both 1.6 single turbo. But like at least give them some freedom. Like Ferrari, their 499P and their 296 roll car, the V6 is 120 degrees. Like why can't you give that option to like it doesn't have to be a 90-degree V6. Like if someone wants to do 120 degrees or 75 degrees and push the size zero. I don't know if you remember that, but I'll put a picture of it in the video. But Honda had a size zero engine and you could not see the turbo. But like if it was 75 degrees, obviously the engine or the engine cover will be like really narrow to really push the size zero. But because the engines are locked at 90 degrees, I think that's kind of whack. And then, within it still being a V6, like I don't see why they can't do twin turbo versus single turbo. Like I would like to see them figure out displacement and
My
um
turbo's failing, by the way.
you always have mechanical failures.
Yeah, and I have an oil leak from the turbo failure.
Oh god. Meanwhile, I'm just
Oh,
stinking it up in the back row.
I just spun out because I have oil all over my fucking tires.
But yeah, I think giving it some variety in that sense, because that was one cool thing about the turbo era You know, Mercedes had the split turbo. All of them had different solutions, right?
Until they all just copied each other. But yeah, at the beginning,
Yeah,
very,
and
very, very innovative.
yeah, yeah. I just wish F1 was a little better with that. My opinion. But like, how would you, what do you think of the ground effect cars as a whole, though?
They're too big. I like the idea of it. They're too big. They
Yeah,
need to be smaller. Like they've downsized it a little bit, but it needs to be smaller.
yeah.
It's just oh, there goes my engine.
I like the cars. I will admit that first race, um, when they were dealing with all that porpoising, I was like, okay, these cars kind of suck, and it didn't look like F1 to me. Now it looks like F1. It actually looks like F1 as far as speed goes, and it's crazy too how well these cars break records. So I will miss them from that sense,
Yeah,
but um, I do think they're too big. And then um, if there's a lot of downpour because of the nature of the floor on these cars, it kicks up so much water that I can't believe I pulled a Romaine Grosjean at the start of the race. It kicks up so much water that it's really hard to it's hard to race in the wet.
true. Even on the sim, it's like that.
Yeah, like you watch some of those guys on boards, and you be like, okay, like I understand why the drivers are asking for a red flag because the floor literally speeds up as the car speeds up, and that's how they make their downforce. But as a result, um, aero water is just getting thrown everywhere. Are you in first place? Oh, you're in
No,
fourth.
no, I'm in last. I'm retired. My motor blew up.
Oh shit.
That turbo failure was terminal.
I must not have that on because I just.
No, you got it. It's on random engine failure.
Oh, what did you
For
do?
anybody, I put that on for a reason. Just
Nah,
because.
I just don't think they mess with you as much as they supposed to.
No, the game definitely was like, nah, we're gonna get him first.
I wish, man, that start was so bad.
So that was you then went sliding through, smacking into everybody.
Oh, it was horrible. I was
So
trying, I was trying to do this podcast talk, so I was like focused on the conversation, and I'm like, uh oh. Then sure enough, of course, what did I do? Locked up. I won't lie though. Like I'm good with F1 cars, but my sweet spot is actually the LMD, the prototypes. Man, I'm pretty good with those cars.
I feel it.
And I told you you would demolish me on this track. And wait till we see
Well,
our lap times.
well, it was good till the motor blew up.
I'm still I'm still
I think somebody
pretty
else blew up too.
I'm
Cause you
st-
see that guy pulled over.
I'm still fairly confident that you're gonna have a faster lap time than me. It's genuinely not saying much. Hey, I need to just go to the pits. Yeah, Yeah, I'm gonna just go to the pits.
Oh, Lando Morris is out. His motor's done at the end of the race. In comes Salamander Sushi on the 10th lap to pick up the victory.
Yeah, I don't deserve to share the track with those guys. That was really bad. Anyways, back to what I was saying. These time for speeding in pit lane, of course. Anyways, these new cars, they are. I'm excited for the new cars, and once we get our hands on them, um, I think it's F1. They're gonna find a way to close that. Um, they're gonna find a way to close that gap as far as lap time goes. These new cars
Yeah,
also have so DRS isn't a thing no more. It's gonna be X mode and Z mode, um, cornering mode and the high speed mode, and it's gonna have that same effect where both the front and the back wings slot into a high speed thing. So yeah, I mean I'm pretty excited for the new rules. Um, you never know what's gonna happen when we get new regulations. Because if you think about it, Mercedes won maybe one or two races before the split turbo 1.6. So yeah, you just never know, man. I am excited though. But did you have anything else you wanted to add before we get ready to end the episode?
basically, we got to put a lot of hope, but at the same time, be realistic about how these new regs are going to go. Because with this, active arrow,
Mhm.
they're essentially, using fly-by-wire fighter plane technology that's going to be, reading the air pressures and all the stuff, changes the direction by the millisecond. So these
Mhm.
cars are going to be, if I remember correctly, they are heavier but smaller because there's got to be more equipment to monitor all this shit. So it
So
starts.
I do
It
think
starts.
they're a little bit lighter.
Okay, that's good. They found some. That's what good because I'm thinking with all these sensors, you're also looking at potential failure, right? Like, because I know what they're using. They're using pitot tubes.
Mhm.
It's like on fighter jets, those little tubes you see,
Mhm.
and those can detect air pressure and change the direction and stuff like that.
Mhm.
If one of those gets messed up because a piece of tire debris flies up at 140 miles per hour, that could keep the wings stuck in one mode.
Mhm.
And here you are going down the straight 30 miles per hour slower than everybody because your wings can't fold backwards to give you less downforce
Yeah,
or
and
flatten out or whatever it might be. So there's this is going to be very interesting from a technological standpoint. I mean, you're talking about speeds of 400, kilometers.
which is
You
around
know,
240, 250. I think it's
yeah,
248.
yeah. So now you're talking about pieces flying off the car because
Mhm.
they haven't designed them to do this in a long ever. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, Honda did top speed run in the desert one time, but they're not. They've never been like, oh yeah, like even in the '80s when they had the Mistral Straight in France,
Mhm. Paul Ricard.
at Paul Ricard, they were still clicking off like what 220 during those times, and that's when Elio DeAngelis is passed away. So cars, yes, they're stronger. I'm just looking at like they're gonna have to be able to stop from these speeds.
Mhm.
What's that one track in the Moroccan Grand Prix? Is it one of these Grand Prix in the city where they got the Jeddah? It's
Oh,
Jeddah. They got that
Azerbaijan.
long,
Oh no. Okay. Go ahead.
yeah, Jeddah. They got that long ass straightaway.
Yeah.
They were already doing like what was it, 220, 225, I guess, in the draft.
Uh huh.
With full battery deployment,
Yeah.
something like that. I'd have to go back and see it. But they're in the high 200s. They ain't went that fast in a long time.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna add another 20 miles per hour to that.
Uh huh. I
and
will
then you gotta
say
stop.
this. I will say this. I think this isn't the first time that they slightly downsized the cars, slightly down where they were going to be slower, smaller. Because these, so the 2014 to 2016 cars, they were smaller than the V8 cars. I think people got so caught up in the noise not being there, but those cars, I don't know if they got as fast as the V8s, but they got to respectable numbers. So the thing for me is like, yes, on paper they're slower, they're overweight. Even if they are lighter, they're still on the heavy side. Um,
Yeah.
it's still F1. They're gonna find a way to make the racing good. They're gonna find a way to make the cars corner quicker. So don't get too caught up in these negative moments, right? The downsides of what the regs look like they're gonna be.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And of course, the F1 engineers are some of the smartest men and women in the world that aren't working in the military. So they're gonna figure out some way, somehow to make these vehicles go faster. I'm just interested to see, someone's gonna be trying to take, the 130R as Suzuka flat out and the wing doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what I was talking about. Because the sensor gets messed up,
Mhm.
so now they understeer and we get a big accident. You're putting these, you know, and of course they said they can do manual override. Still, you're putting a lot of trust in movable aerodynamics when we know that aerodynamics like to be in a static form of some sort. You know what I mean? Like if you got a ground effects vehicle, they love to be stable going through the corner.
Mhm.
They don't need all the bouncing, we know, porpoising and all that good stuff. But now imagine that wing being a moving device through a corner at 160, 70 miles per hour. Does that affect the roll, of the car,
Mhm.
which would affect the aerodynamics? Because the moment that car breaks the seal with the ground,
Yeah.
which is the whole thing with ground effects, as you know already.
Yeah.
It,
So.
it could lose, and so now we have a bigger deal. So I'm just interested to see. I don't want nobody obviously to get hurt. I'm
Mhm.
just interested to see how this is going to go
Mhm.
because they haven't tried it. They've only used it in the simulator.
Yeah. And that's the part
We,
too. Is like I don't think it's not gonna be a full length floor, but it's still gonna be somewhat of a powerful floor. So like with the combination of the floor and the arrow, like you said, with these mechanical parts, like even if the rear wing closes later or sooner than the front wing, like you said, it could understeer off. I didn't even think about that. Matt, are you there?
yeah, I'm there.
Okay. It sounded like you cut out for a second. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, we just gotta wait and see though. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic because this isn't the first time where the cars should be slower, but the racing improved. I think I just wish it was a little more variety. Like I said, if someone wants to do a 75-degree V6 or a boxer V6 or a twin turbo versus a single turbo or just a regular 90-degree V6, I wish that option was available.
Yeah.
And it sucks that it's the exact same engine size as well. Like,
You know why what's going to happen because let's just go down the hypothetical real quick before we end it. Let's say that you said, the 2026, by the way, we're letting everybody design the 1.6 liter V6 engine architecture. You can make it, like you said, you can make it 90 degrees, 75 degrees, um, fucking center turbo, twin turbo,
mhm,
separated hybrid turbo, electric boosted, whatever.
yeah,
Do it. And then soon as one company figures out the sauce, everybody else is going to drop what they're doing, just like F1 always does. and they're gonna go for the sauce. And then we have the $1 billion chase game that got us to this cost cap shit in the first place because everybody stopped being so innovative and just wanted to do what Adrian knew he was doing.
Mhm.
And to be honest, if you really think about it, once they figured out how to, Adrian Newey figured out how to perfect the blown diffuser. All of a sudden, everybody wanted the blown diffuser. Then when they figured out they could all get it to work the same way, then they banned, and then we get it banned, and then we
Mhm.
got everybody chasing what Red Bull wanted to do all these years. And
Mhm.
then once we get to the Mercedes era, now you got everybody like you brought up. Perfect example, the split turbo
Mhm.
in the hybrid era. Once they did that, what did everybody else do? Everybody else wanted to split turbo, or
Yeah.
they wanted to get rid of it. And then they got to that point where F1 or FIA had to step in and be like, all right, now we're gonna same exact turbo style, so we can't have anybody with an unfair advantage,
Yeah.
a la Ferrari with their fuel flow tampering bullshit that they got away with. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and not that I don't love the spirit of F1, which is to try and innovate around but that's also the reason why we have this cross cap that nobody likes
Yeah.
because greed got in the way. People are snitching on each other. Hey, they got. And FIA says, you know what? You guys ain't spending no more money than. Boom, there you go. Now everybody's got to cry about it.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that. I think, and this is kind of like the bad part about F1 is like they don't, because the rule book is so tight. And they do that to try to keep it close. And I personally don't mind the cost cap because outside of F1, Ferrari doesn't go back to Le Mans if they don't cost cap F1. So they're like, shit, we got a lot of extra money now, and that got us the 499p. So if you look at more than just F1, it was good, but just in F1, I think it's crazy how like you can literally have two full teams worth. Like Mercedes at one point, I think they were working on the 2014 car um, in like 2012, just working on the engine, trying to be ahead of it. And now it's like um, they can't do that anymore. And there's like a time limit, a start point. You have to start off at this point if you want to. If you want at January, now you can start the 26 car. Like I don't know how I feel about that, but we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to put another replay over this part because it's just the car sitting in the lobby. So I'm gonna have to add something to it. But appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Hope you guys enjoy the conversation. The idea is for these to always be open ended, so you can feel free to comment if you feel like the new cars are going to be awesome and you don't have an issue with the 50-50 power split. Feel free to leave that down below. Of course, I'll tag Matt's socials in the description. Apex Vision out.
Peace.